Yeah, I'm going. May I invite Srinidhi to please read from Uncle Vanya's body of work? Nidhi, will you kickstart us on this evening? Because I think you're easily the youngest member going to be reading one of the oldest members' works. So, and I don't see a better way to start off this evening. Over to you, Nidhi.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Nidhi, and first of all, I really want to thank Sidhu and Shobhana aunty for giving me this opportunity. Um, so, thank you for that. Um, I'm going to read my first poem by Minu Vanya. This is called I Possess. The sky, the sea, the mountains high, I
Again,
possess. The
maybe come up
flowers
with that
and
light.
birds,
I don't want this light.
the flowers and birds, and rainbow colors I possess. The setting sun and the moons and stars I possess. For none can claim alone nature's bounty that is for all to share. But I possess not my family, my friends, and even myself. For mortals have not a heart so big that, like nature, can share their blessings, for they live for self alone. Thank you. My second poem. Wait a second. Where is it? Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, I know. My second poem is called "The Eyes Say More." Have you not noticed that the language of the eyes is the one that speaks more than all the words you know? A glance across a crowded room from someone you love says more. A tear brimming over says more. A sparkle accompanying a smile says more. In fact, even downcast eyes, coy in their shyness, say more. It is the eyes that spark and say so much more than what the lips can form. Thank you. Thank you. There's one more. This third poem, this is the last poem. This is called Rainwalkers. The raindrops continue to fall, drenching an already drenched earth, as if the biblical days of Noah have come to visit us again. As I sit at my window and write, warm and dry, comfortable, I see a man walking the street, trying to shelter from the rain with a torn piece of plastic. Where does he come from? Where is he going? What brings him out in such weather? Why do I ask when I know that, like him, there are millions who know not where they go, have no place they have come from, and because nobody wants them, they come out in the rain. Do I not know as I write, warm and dry, comfortable, that the rain will always fall? There will always be a man walking in the rain. Thank you.
Those of you feel free to unmute and clap and give this remarkable rendition by Nidhi, a student who has so eloquently read Uncle Vanya's body of work. Thank you, Nidhi. We really miss Minu Vanya, Uncle. Wish he could have been here with us. And such a beautiful selection of poems, Nidhi. Thank you very much. So just to give you a little highlight on how this evening is going to go, we're going to have about 5 poets reading. and then a little bit of music from Achna, and hopefully Kirtana will be able to sync you up. Uh, and then Ranjani Murali is going to be joining us from the US and talking about her second book and her entire body of work. And we'll close with the next 5 poets and readers for us. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. If you have not unmuted um, your microphone, please mute it when the reading is going on, because this is being recorded. The recording of this you can see on our YouTube channel. It will be available by tomorrow. We'll post it on the groups as well. So we go on to Minu Vanya uncle to speak a little bit about him. Is I think it was around about 2012, 2013 when 3 of us, Sri Vidya first, then Vanya uncle, and then I were published by Writers Workshop Calcutta. Uncle has, I think, many books tucked away um, in his trunk, and ever so often many of us threaten him that we'd go out to his house and pick up those manuscripts and send them off to a publisher, but we've never got around to doing that, and I think he's barred the house from us forever from doing that. So that's Vanya uncle for you, and we move on to the second reader of the day. May I ask Raji Govindaka, would you read? She has Raji Govind. Yeah, you have to unmute, Akka. We can't hear you. Please unmute. No, we can't hear you still. You have to unmute your microphone. No. Yeah, sure. Take your time, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
Please carry on. Please.
Okay. Okay.
Please make
Good evening, friends.
Akka, please make an introduction. Introduce yourselves and then talk.
Okay.
Introductions are so informal, so please introduce yourselves in the manner you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm Raji Govind, and I was a special educator, but still involved with my students even now. And I love poetry. So I thought I'll just join the session. I'm going to read out two poems by my all-time favorite writers. One is William Shakespeare, and the other is Alfred Lord Tennyson. These might seem a bit outdated, but I think for my generation and the generations to come, people would love it. Yeah. So this is the first one that I'm going to do. It's William Shakespeare's Love Sonnets, and this is Sonnet 18, which is supposed to be a very popular sonnet. Yeah. So shall I start reading? Yeah. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes,
shall I compare thee to a... Yeah. Okay. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed. And every fair from fair sometime declines, by chance or nature's course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou ist, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. This poem actually is something different, because his earlier poems are all about love and about marriage and perpetuating the family. But this particular one is more. Is it audible? Yeah. But this particular one is about love and youth and how one should, it's more about youth and love and yeah. So that's what it is, and it's different from the other poem. Now, the other poem that I'm going to read is Alfred Lord Tennyson's. Yeah. This is about, I think it's a very...
Yeah, because I've logged into you.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Akka, we can hear you. Please go on, please.
Yeah, yeah, because I can't see. Yeah, this is the second one by Alfred Lord Tennyson. It is The Princess, and it's a huge poem. It's a very, very long poem. So this is Canto 5. That's all. Yeah. So I'm going to read it out. This is: Home they brought her warrior dead. She nor swooned nor uttered cry. All her maidens watching said, she must weep or she will die. Then they praised him soft and low, called him worthy to be loved, truest friend and noblest foe, yet she neither spoke nor moved. Stole a maiden from her place, lightly to the warrior stepped, took the face cloth from the face, yet she neither moved nor wept. Rose a nurse of 90 years, set his child upon her knee. Like summer tempest came her tears. Sweet my child, I live for thee. So people were quite worried as to why she's not reacting even when they brought her, her lover, her husband dead. But we don't know why that part is not very clear. But I think when she suddenly realizes that she's not only a wife, but a mother also, that's when she feels terrible. And then she realizes that she should look after her child. And that's what brought the tears to her, I think. Thank you very much.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Akka. Thank you so much. That was such a beautiful.
Yeah, thank you.
You took us all back to school days.
I know. You all.
Fondly remember our English teacher teaching this poem and asking us the same question. Why do you think she only cried in the end? Thank you very much. May I request Ritu to come on next? She has some urgent duties beckoning. So there's a slight shift in the order. So if I've sent you an order, please forgive me. There are some last minute requests that I'm trying to accommodate. Yeah. Go on, Ritu, please. Please introduce
Thank you
yourself.
so much, and I'm so sorry about upsetting the order. So I am a Coimbatore baby, and I think, well, there's really no introductions to be made. Shobhana auntie very kindly asked me to be part of this, and I somewhat reluctantly agreed to, because I haven't really written for years. But I promised myself this year that I would spend more time outside of my comfort zone than in it. And this was just one way of doing it. So after hitting the dreaded writer's block for years on end, I managed to pen down something just about half an hour ago to read to you today. Forgive me if it's juvenile. I'm writing after forever. So it's called Things I Tell a Younger Me. You're being raised to be a dreamer. It's a lovely thing to be. Stars in your eyes, fire in your belly, an open world of infinite possibility. Hold on to the joy that dreaming brings. Make space in your crowded heart. Sit those feelings down, give them a home they never want to leave. Let them bloom and let them grow. You'll need them when you're me. Time seems like your friend now, but he won't always be. At your heels, he will be snapping, chipping away, bit by bit. Always stay a step ahead and put him in his place. You are the master and he the slave. Consciously work towards keeping it that way. There'll be people telling you what success means, talking about breaching glass ceilings. They'll tell you to choose where to put your energy, to choose one thing for you to go down in history. But you kid, you learn to hold your own. Do what brings you joy, what makes you feel alive. be your own hero, write your own life. That spark that shines within you, stroke it into a fire. Don't ever let it go out. Let the flames keep going higher. The heat may be too much to take for someone you lose along the way. There'll be some who'll try and dim your light. Don't give in to their darkness. Shine. Remember, you're bright. Life will throw you curveballs. They'll be blinding without any warning. Be light so you can swerve out of the way in body and in mind alike. There will always be things that don't go your way, and that's perfectly all right. It's important to choose which battles to fight. Winning the war is never about might. When times are rough and seas are tough, surge, fight the rough. Believe in rainbows after storms, hold on to faith and move on. No matter how many big things you achieve along the way, remember to celebrate the little things, just like you do today. A silver lining on a cold, dark cloud, a familiar face in an unfamiliar crowd. A giggling child on a blue, hard day, a shower of rain in the middle of May. Little birds singing their morning song, a stranger with whom you can get along. Squirrels on trees, butterflies on flowers, sailing through traffic in the mad rush hour. There's some lessons this life has taught us as you've grown up to be me. Being in the now should be all you do. It's okay to bite off more than you can chew. Make time to keep your mind healthy as much as you do your body. Let gratitude be your therapist. You can never please everybody. Get your hands dirty every once in a way. Paint, garden, work with clay. Being the right person is more important than finding the one. Stay honest with yourself. Don't be lost trying to be someone. You need to be in love with you for someone to feel the same way. Every day won't be stellar. It's fine to have a bad day. It's important to make memories. They help on days that are dark. Read a book, sing a song, befriend a stranger, go for a walk in the park. Tell the people you love them that you do. A million times is better than not at all. Don't wait for someone to pick you up when you stumble and fall. Our planet is a lonely speck in an enveloping cosmic dark. You and I are infinitesimal on this pale blue dot. In the larger scheme of things, remember what you're going through on bad days is not a lot. But as tiny as we may be, we carry within us this light. And when you look out at the galaxy, know you shine just as bright. Infinitesimal though you and I may be, you and I, we have the strength to hold out and to breathe. Step out of that cage of bone and flesh in a world where you can be anything. Be the toughest. Be yourself. Thank you.
Lovely, Ritu. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I think there are a lot of comments for you in the chat box. Thank you. What Ritu didn't tell, many of you don't come in from other cities, is that she's a medal winner from the National Law School, Bangalore, alumnus of MUS, Singapore, and when she's not fighting courtroom battles, clearly the pen is her favorite. Thank you, Ritu, for joining us. Thank you. Can I request Nimi Satyanarayan Auntie to please come? Nitya, Nimi Auntie, whose name I didn't know was Nirmala until now.
Have you unmuted, Amma?
Yes, I've unmuted.
Can't see you, no?
So you can.
Auntie, we can't see you. And can I also welcome our special guest, Ranjani Murali, we'll be listening to shortly. Ranjani, thanks for joining in. Kalki, thank you for joining in.
Turn on your computer, turn on your video.
Thank you, Shobhana, for having me here.
Looking forward, Kalki, looking forward to listening to you again.
And hi to Vidya and to all of you.
Auntie, you can go on. Yes. Shanti, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
Unmute. Sorry for the hitch. Anyway, thank you, Shobhana, for having me. And yes, I mean, I do have a lot of favorite poets, like Wordsworth is one of them. But today I decided to read something which I feel a lot of women, I see there are more women over here, will be able to relate to me, especially the married women, because this particular poem really relates to me. And it's a poem by Ogden Nash. Now, Ogden Nash was an American poet. He was known for his light verse and humorous poetry. In fact, Nash won a large following for his audacious verse. So many of you may have heard this particular verse written by him, which I think was his advice to husbands, which goes, to keep your marriage brimming with love in the loving cup. Whenever you're wrong, admit it. Whenever you're right, shut up. So that's his sort of humor. And what I'm going to read today is something, as I said, which really appealed to me. And it's called what's it called? What women, sorry, I haven't got that, sorry, I can't remember the title.
Perfectly fine, Auntie.
No, I haven't written it down because I knew it. Suddenly, I just can't recollect the name of the poem. Anyway, I'll read the poem out and later I'll sort of, when it comes back to me, I'll tell you. So it's a poem, as I said, I could really relate to the poem. So it goes, husbands are things that wives have to get used to putting up with, and with whom they breakfast with and sup with. They interfere with the discipline of nurseries and forget anniversaries. And when they've been particularly remiss, they think they can cure everything with a great big kiss. And when you tell them about something awful they have done, they just look unbearably patient and smile a superior smile and think, oh, she'll get over it after a while. And they always drink cocktails faster than they can assimilate them. And if you look in their direction, they act as if they were martyrs and you were trying to sacrifice or immolate them. And when it's a question of walking 5 miles to play golf, they're very energetic. But if it's doing anything useful around the house, they are very lethargic. And then they tell you that women are unreasonable and don't know anything about logic. And they never want to get up or go to bed at the same time as you do. And when you perform some simple, common, or garden rite, like putting cold cream on your face or applying a touch of lipstick, they seem to think that you're up to some kind of black magic, like a priestess of voodoo. And they're brave and calm and cool and collected about the ailments of the person they have promised to honor and cherish. But the minute they get a sniffle or a stomachache of their own, why, you think they were about to perish. And when you're alone with them, they ignore all the minor courtesies. And as for airs and graces, they utterly lack them. But when there are a lot of people around, they hand you so many chairs and ashtrays and sandwiches and butter you with such bowings and scrapings that you want to smack them. Husbands are indeed an irritating form of life, and yet through some quirk of providence, most of them are really very deeply ensconced in the affection of their wife. Well, that's it. I could really relate to that poem, and I think a lot of the ladies here will be able to relate to the poem too. What women know sooner or later. I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, I just
By
pulled it up.
Compton
It's what almost every woman knows sooner or later.
Yeah, what every woman knows sooner or later. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shobhana.
Thank you, Auntie, for that lovely rendition of this poem. Yeah, and I think a lot of us can relate to that, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. All right. So we have Srividya now. Srividya, over to you. She's,
Hi,
as
good evening,
all of us know, she's a critically acclaimed poet, has 2 books of work out, and is coming up with anthology with a fellow poet, Paresh Tiwari, very shortly. And over to you for a deeper, a better introduction, Srividya.
No, but please let me start by thanking Kat and Shobhana. It's always, I think in the events of a year, Kat's World Poetry Day has always been a highlight. So it's lovely to actually be able to do that again. And I'm really thrilled to be here. My name is Srividya Shivkumar. I am a poet and a teacher. And today I'm reading from my book, The Heart is an Attic. And actually, I was reminded of, I felt even more confident about my choice because I heard Shakespeare and Tennyson after a long time, and I also got to listen to Ogden Nash. So I wrote this poem as a response to a conversation I'd had with a friend about regional poetry versus Indian English poetry in India. So this one is called Pamuk Plays the Palanguri. I talked to him about Vijay Nambisan, reclusive brother, older poet. He says there are many like him in his state. Ayappan died on the streets. Chulikad is a warrior, and MT is the greatest of them all. You English literature convent educated girls, step outside, look at the world. My convent was a government school with a ghost in the bathroom. The marble floors were broken cement and cobwebs made for great hair ornaments. It was first come, first serve, and the days you were delayed, you squinted at the board in a dimly lit space, wondering about arithmetic. No one taught me poetry then. It was Mr. Bell and Mrs. Bell. It was Kuchu and his glasses. English literature was a father's well-annotated Shakespeare. It was murder in the cathedral and Gitanjali. It was the state prayer, the few words of Tamil I could only hum to. I know not of Bharati, the man I share a birthday with. I know not of Sangam poetry. I immerse myself in the wine of Madhushala and look for the Saki. I sense the birth pangs in tamas and read. Yes, I am not partial to your tongue, but I can quote Umberto and Wislava, Neruda and Saadat. Life doesn't come in one dialect. Neither does love, neither does learning, neither does hubris. Poets live and poets die, penniless in any language. Thank you. The second poem, I know we have 5 minutes, so I'm just reading one more and I'm going to stop. The second poem is called Calavera. New love is sitting at the table next to me, holding hands, heads so close, even silk wouldn't fit. Old love is looking at the newspaper and reading a book and not speaking at all. New love is sharing soup and feeding croutons. It is gazing with utter fascination and a smile that's tantalizing and distant as it listens to theories on astronomy. New love is right now holding a hand over a fist as it pays the bill and doesn't wait for change. Old love wonders about the tip. New love is on the bike next to me. It's holding him so close that rainwater pools at the breasts and flows along the sides of her body. It's being gently caressed with every bump and every stop, and its thighs are jelly. Old love is comfortably seated with a large bag in between as it wonders about the couple next to it and how that might feel. New love doesn't need a raincoat, an umbrella, a jacket. It needs a warm palm against the chest and is electrified. Old love is a pair of thick socks, an old t-shirt, a worn at the seat and knees corduroy that clings and comforts. New love is a mint condition molecular gastronomy gif. New love has dropped the napkin on the table and is oblivious. Old love, old love is writing this poem. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you.
I think all one can say after that, Srividya, is incredible as always.
Thank you so much, Shruti.
Such a pleasure listening to you. So can I hand it over to the sisters, the Devdases now, before we move to another
Oh, it's
one?
going to be second sister supporting here.
All right, okay. We can't think of you as anything but two, right? So.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, we tried really hard, but I think there's some issue with Zoom. There is a delay happening, so we weren't able to, do this together. So please, I mean, this is the first time I'm doing this on Zoom as well. So please bear with me. If at any point, you feel the karaoke is louder than my voice or anything, please feel free to stop me and start again. So on the occasion of World Poetry Day, I decided to pick a number by Joni Mitchell. She's one of the greatest singer-songwriters of her time. She's known to be a storyteller of striking originality. So this song, A Case of You, is a song where she very honestly and frankly talks about her relationship with a man. So yeah, wish me luck. I'm gonna run this karaoke at the back and hopefully we won't have any other snags. Yeah, Keith, I'm gonna miss you this time because we've always done our songs at Cats together. But yeah, here we go. Just before our love got lost, you said, I am as constant as a northern star. And I said, constantly in the darkness, where's that at? If you need me, I'll be at the bar. On the back of a cartoon coaster, in the blue TV screen light, I drew a map of Canada, oh Canada, with your face sketched on it twice. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter, oh so sweet. Oh, I could drink a case of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. I would still be on my feet. Oh, I am a lonely painter. I live in a box of paints. I'm frightened by the devil, and I'm drawn to those ones that ain't afraid. I remember that time you told me, you said, love is touching souls. Surely you touch mine, 'cause part of you pours out of me in these lines from time to time. Oh, you're in my blood like holy wine. You taste so bitter. face of you, darling, and I would still be on my feet. I would still be on my feet. I met a woman, she had a mouth like yours, she knew your life, she knew your devils and your deeds, and she said, go to him, stay with him if you can, but be prepared to bleed. Oh, you're in my blood, you're my holy wine, you taste so bitter, oh so sweet, oh. My feet. Thank you.
So good.
Oh, wow.
What a beautiful voice you have.
What amazing.
We managed to exit and get back into the Zoom room in between.
No, you just elevated the entire experience of this evening so beautifully, Archana. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shobhana.
Please stay with us, Archana. Then hopefully we'll get you to sing another one for us before we leave. Unplugged. All right. So here we go now. Ranjani Murali is our poet in focus. I think one of the things I've always loved about Cats is how this has become a platform for anybody associated with Coimbatore. You don't have to be well established. You can be a person who's just attempted first poem and come here and read and have an indulgent audience. That's one of the things I've loved about the city. And we've had, we've got an award-winning poet here. Ranjani Murali is the recipient of the Srinivas Rayaprol Prize, one of the most coveted awards in the poetry world. She won it in 2014. She has an MFA in poetry from George Mason University and currently teaches writing courses at Harper College in Illinois. Her first book was called Blind Screens and was published by Almost Island in 2017. And it won the Prabha Khaitan Women's Voice Award in 2019. Her second book is called Clearly Your ESL and was the award-winning manuscript of the endeavor run by Shikha Malavya and is not published in India as yet, but has been published to wide critical acclaim in the US. So she's here to talk to us about craft. She's here to talk to us about her journey of writing and also about her love for Coimbatore, hopefully. Over to you, Ranjani. So happy to have you with us. She's on a spring break, which is why we got lucky. And thanks to Zoom.
Shobhana. And Cats, thank you so much for having me. And I apologize for the delay. I had a house full of children and I had to situate each one. I had to send one to daycare. I had to put one in front of his art and say work on it. So that's hence the delay. But it's funny you said that I was going to talk about Coimbatore. I am going to talk about Coimbatore actually, because it's funny. I started writing, really, really crappy poetry when I was studying in Nirmala College. And from there on, it's been a transition. And I'm not joking when I say that the majority of my experiences in the first book were shaped by my experiences in Coimbatore. And also, my first book was a lot about Tamil cinema. So as somebody who grew up with that, that's how it came to me. But the landscape of Coimbatore permeates all my work. The idea of this idyllic space where we all live this sort of quaint semi-urban life. It's partially urban, it's partially sort of whatever we want to make it to be. Those beautiful languorous afternoons when you can just sort of like, I would just part my curtains and lie on the divan and just feel the light filtering in. Those are all my best memories of Coimbatore, and those are the memories I treasure when I come back. So I hold on to them very dearly. My mom's here, she knows when I come back, I have like a favorite spot, like on the divan, and I just sit there and just enjoy those afternoons and those quiet moments. Also because I have children and I lose my sanity thanks to their screaming all the time, which everybody understands. But that those moments which we condense into our poems, all of those moments, I can say, even though it's been a solid 14 years since I left home, they all live within the space of my poems. So I'll just read my poems. They're not, you might find them to be different from anything that you might have encountered before. And if it's not a good different, I will apologize in advance. But part of it is me trying to be funny. And hopefully some of that comes through. So this is from my latest book of poems, and it's called Clearly You Are ESL. It's actually, the book's arrived in India, Shobhana, funnily enough, and it's sitting in Coimbatore in my house, but Amazon India refuses to come pick it up and take it to their warehouse. So Amma's dealing with that. So, all right, it's called Workbook Cursive. You might see that there are quote unquote spelling errors. They're not spelling errors, they're clearly things that I'm doing for wordplay. Workbook Cursive. The idea is you can write into the book. There is a bull. It has a big head. You have bullets in your bag. The bull is looking at your bag. Your bag is orange. You are peeling an orange. Your friend throws away the peels. The bull sniffs at the peels. Your friend is looking at the bull. The bull kicks its heels. Orange peels are lying at your heels. Your friend is lying. There is a gun in his head. No, this poem actually doesn't have anything to do with the shootings in the US, so you think that it does. Tourist notice. Please watch your electronic items, your wallet, your passport, your breasts, your edibles, your laptop cases, the nape of your neck, your Barnes & Noble gift cards, your frosty lipstick, the small of your back and the line of your spine, your sneakers, your stilettos, your evening shoes, your morning after pills, your Advils, your breakfast bars with a low glycemic index, your pale, freckled arms, your outlet mall bags, your super absorbent tampons, your vegan gummy bears, your grapefruit gum. We are asking you not to stand in line, but to fan out into the line. Ours is an egalitarian society. We believe that everyone must approach from sameness, stand with the line, rather in line. If you want coffee, please ask thrice and mention you do not want milk, because we are a nation of dairy connoisseurs. We bathe our newborns in milk and cream and swathe our brides in milk-drenched silks, our dead in milk-white shrouds. If you think that women can wear pants, we will agree most amicably, but please don't rub the back pockets of your tapering jeans when you wish to stretch or arch your back. It is obscene and may invite a man to stroke it. Then you must not claim that he is bumping into you everywhere, because he is, because we agree he is. So part of living in Coimbatore and loving it also means that you have unpleasant experiences over there. So what to do? This one is about the Kili Josian, who I love, by the way, but he's not a Kili Josian in Coimbatore. First time I actually encountered a real life Kili Josian was when I went to Chennai, and I thought it was hilarious. He told my friend that she was going to die a horrific death or something like that, and so which made my friend amused. Beggars. Yes, the parrot in the cage is mine, but he reads fortunes. On rainy days, he flicks his head toward the anthill on the side of the tree. Famous men come to see him. The director who recently celebrated the 100th Jubilee, the local minister, the mayor, and even the child star who likes to play with cheetah cubs in his spare time. The smell of feline hair on him sends the bird into a tizzy. He claws at my knuckles and then draws, always, the tarot card with the goddess riding a lion, as if he has felt the tearing of a claw under his silken neck, the sound of a cat licking itself before the blood comes, the instant when the cage snaps shut and the predator, leashed and delirious, is foaming at the mouth, standing outside, waiting to hear his fortune. Eve teasing complaint. My father leans against a counter at Adyaranand Bhavan, pointing to the murka as if it were a twisted rag dripping with oil in the Madras of plastic bangle summers. I find a corner where a man stands close to me, breathes into my ear, the threat of his fingers echoing against the clatter of plastic tubs filled with stainless steel plates. Spare me, I think, the way my lover spares me of gracelessness in our afternoon heat, where sweat drips into my ears in patterns I can only hear as the rounding up of tickets strewn on the steaming aluminum grooves on the floor of the bus. Buying me a sweet lassi, my father rests on the glass shelf, an arm absent-mindedly around me, the possibility of intrusion now dispersed, washed and gargled by those spitting into the open sinks nearby. The water seems cool, and one woman fills her cup and swills, her rida flying under the electric fan from side to side, contours of a swathed bosom emerging where the line of her jaw stretched to. Rose milk, I think, the color is called, and where the crimson of her lips is smudged, her bosom is covered again, while mine, covered all the while, sweating behind a case of glass, has been on display, the sweetmeats selecting my consumption, their eyes boring a fire into my navel, where the threat of a pinch remains unguarded by a girded jaw. It's getting kind of dark, so I'm going to talk to you about the poem. This is a sonnet. I'm sorry I'm reading fast. I'm apparently in that kind of space today. But my father said that, my father, alternates between Chennai and Coimbatore, and he said he saw Sneha once in the park walking, and she's jogging actually, and this poem was inspired by that. Actress Neha, in her actress days. Sonnet for a city park. When May arrives, there are yellow flowers on every stone bench, oozing a muggy, bitter oil. The balding men with bird seed in their pockets, clad in shorts and hats, stare at a woman in faded capris, her hair bunched into a ponytail, her arms, oars traversing a whimsical sea of fellow joggers. She's an actress, my father whispers, and I wipe my face with the back of my hand, where the milk of a magnolia has fallen. The smudge of this ivy will light my face into a myriad of pinpricks, a bevy of blisters, aflame with the knowledge that the next time I rent her film, I will scratch my face vigorously, those eyes full of abandon, those arms a free sail chopping through the ocean of faces, all pinpricks, like mine, no spots to call their own. Yeah, I'm going to end with a funny poem. Shobhana, do I still have time for one, or should I?
One, please. Keep going.
This one, this one is inspired by like a combination of Kadhalikkum Neram, pretty much all movies in general. So we have the stalker trope in Tamil movies where the guy just hounds the woman until she finally, yields and says, okay, fine, right? And then in Kadhalikkum Neram, there is that famous song where he's dressed as like, it's the title song where he's dressed as an old man and he's trying to woo this woman who's already his lover, but she's clearly so like, she can't even figure out that it's her own lover guy wearing a get-up and like chasing her. So yeah, I thought, it's not about that, but there are all these like ideas of what makes a stalker versus what makes a legitimate lover in the Tamil movie space. circa 1970 Tamil film Stalker's Ghazal. These are actual subtitles from Vikram's song in Dhool. From the front, you're Tanjore. From the back, you're Taj Mahal. You are a big city indeed. You are my capital city. Dear dove, I assure you, our stars do align. Your winged eyeliner cinches my affections, a truly astral line. Like a highway, your powdered neck guides me to your cheekbones. Your decahedron pendants are my guilty pleasures, your hook, sinker, and proverbial line. Your hair is tied back into a high bouffant that must hurt when you nod, upon which, is there a sight more beautiful than your coiffed mane? I sing my line. What armor, my love, what conical fabric contraptions gird your breasts? What viscous suspensions lit down your eyes, make plural their crease lines? 2 days back, I saw you at the bank, a locus, a center with moving points around. The boy by my side whistled at you. I broke his neck. He missed the line. And yet you smiled at the director today and brushed against his shoulder. If only he could have kept you from falling right near that exposed power line. So, very morbid as I just read. I just realized it. Shobhana, I think that good. I think that brings me to the grand ending of this dark series of poems.
Fabulous, Ranjani. You know, yesterday when I had the opportunity to, would you stop the screen sharing so we can see your face? Yeah. I had the opportunity to meet Ranjani's parents yesterday. And I was just asking her mom, what did you feed your kid with? I mean, how does she write like that? Where do those line breaks come from? How do you make the ordinary seem so seamless and so effortless? Hats off to you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Ranjani.
Thank you for having me. Thank you all for listening. I really appreciate your time. I know, this is not easy. Poetry is not, there are delightful kinds of poetry, and I know from experience that mine is not always designed to delight. So thank you all the more for your time and attention.
Yeah, I think if all of us were meant to write to delight, we'd not churn out poetry at all. Yes. Thank you, Ranj. Thank you, Ranjani, so much for your words, your verse, and your love for Coimbatore. We hope to have you in a live session soon when you're here next. Have the huge delight of welcoming Kalki Subramaniam. Kalki, welcome. Coimbatore Arts and Theatrical Society. This is your first reading with us, and I hope this will be the beginning of many, many more. Kalki had Harvard in standing ovation to her talk a few years ago, but I'm going to let her introduce herself because she does it so beautifully. Over to you, Kalki.
Thank you, Shobhana, first of all, for inviting me to this lovely evening of poets and poems. And I'm very delighted to be here. And it's my first session in the CADS. So it's kind of, I'm nervous to be among all women. Of course, you and Srividya, I know them very well. So I feel a little more comfortable being here. But a lot of new poets, I see them and I've been hearing their poetry and it's awesome. I'm speechless. So a little bit about me. I'm an activist for the transgender community. I'm a painter. I write poetry. I've acted in a few films and I'm a performance artist as well. I run a foundation called Sahodari Foundation. Since 2008, I've done a lot of work for the Indian transgender community nationally as well as locally. Some of it being the legal rights of the community, right from the Supreme Court, which was recognized in 2014. I've done a lot of groundwork with Supreme Court judges. And I've met more than 1 million students, educated them on trans rights in the country. So currently I'm practicing art and also encouraging transgender women to pursue art so that it could be an alternative for their livelihood and it could be a very personal healing experience. So poetry is very personal to me because as a transgender child, poetry and paintings were my outlets. my medium of expression. So I used to write about how I felt, my emotional pain and everything was in Tamil as well as in English. I used to write. So in 2014, my collection of poetry was published in Tamil as Kuri Aruthen. So many of those poems have been translated in English as well. I write in English as well. But some of the work, translated work, I wanted to read this evening. The ones I'm going to read, the original poems were in Tamil, and I'm going to read the translated ones. These translations were actually done by Dr. Professor Ilanko Nadesan from the American College of Madurai. So he translated them a few years ago, and he translated many of my poetry. So the original poetry is Ongi Kaitattu. Tirunangaye Perumalayin Podu Olikindra Peridi Pola Bhumi Adira Adira Ongi Tattu Un Kaigale. So the Tamil lines go like this, my original poem. So I read that in English now. Clap aloud. Clap aloud means like trans people are very known for clapping their hands, whether to get money, to get attention, to fight, to show happiness. Their body, one of the cultural body language is clapping the hands and getting the attention of the people, expressing happiness, joy, pain, anger, everything. So I use the clap as a medium of expression. Clap aloud. Clap aloud, trans women, clap aloud. Like a crack of thunder that shocks the world during a great rain, clap your hands aloud. Until the ray of light streaks across the dark hearts of those offsprings who run after money in a rat race, tossing their elders in old age homes. Raise your hands and clap aloud, my trans women, clap aloud. The foolishness of the fanatics who subjugate women in the name of religion. Clap your hand, clap, clap, clap. To cry aloud, down, down, down. The culture corpse, down, down, down. Drum a drum, drum a drum, my girl. Till the eardrums of the greedy ones who cheat the poor agrarians, rob them of their only lands to build multi-stories in the tiller's soil, and sell them for a price so high, torn and hang out below earlobes. Clap aloud, trans women, clap aloud. These hands, my trans woman, these hands that clapped for money till now, these hands, trans women, these hands that clapped to ignite the fire, to burn the heckles and mocking. These hands, my trans women, these hands that clapped in rhythm of joy and clapped in happy festivity hereafter. May these hands open books to build a new heaven. May crack the whip to strip injustice naked. And may these hands, my new trans women, join the palms to accept the honor garlanded on grand occasions of learned gatherings. Clap aloud, trans women, clap aloud. So that was the clap aloud poetry. Thank you. And the next one I'm going to read is another translation, also by Dr. Professor Ilanko Nadesan. The original poetry is titled Kuri Aruthen. That was the title of my book, also published in 2014 by Vigadan Publishers. So I have that too. I'm reading it. Yeah, give me a minute. Okay, here it goes. It's Kuri Aruthen, phallus I cut. No transcendental yoga I performed to transform myself into a woman. I cut my phallus, soiled in blood, and transcending death, I became a woman. Oh, you do not have ovary, woman, you are not, said you. Well, oh, wait, as you have severed your manhood, you are now a desolate tree with decayed barks. You have dug the grave of your own lineage. Live you may till your roots last. The earth that bears you shall give up one day, as you have not planted your branches below, said you. Well, I do not want that ovary to carry your excretions of caste and religion. I do not want that ovary to carry your excretions of caste and religious fanaticism. And I do not want in my ovary the gestation of those seeds to grow into a tyrannous tree. Many a woman, as she carried the seeds of your discriminations, made her ovary your lavatory. Luckily, I'm not a woman by birth. நல்ல வேளை பிறப்பால் நான் பெண்ணில்லை என்னை நீங்கள் பெண்ணாக ஏற்க மறுத்ததே எனக்கு கிடைத்த விடுதலை. Luckily, I'm not a woman by birth, and that you deny to accept me as one is in fact the freedom I got. I do not recite the gynogrammar you have crafted. Call me an error in nature. என்னை இயற்கையின் பிழை என்று தாராளமாய் சொல்லிக் கொள்ளுங்கள். நான் யார் என்பதை நானே அறிவேன். Call me an error in nature and call me whatever you will. I know myself for sure, who I am at any given hour. Renouncing the religion, casting away the caste, we are united as the rejected. மதம் மறந்து சாதி துறந்து மறுக்கப்பட்டவர்கள் ஒன்று கூடி வாழும் வாழ்க்கையை வாழ முடியுமா உங்களால்? Renouncing the religion, casting away the caste, we are united as the rejected. Can you live this life we live? Can you become a woman without carrying a womb? Can you become a daughter without sucking your mother's breast? I can, we can, we trans women can. Cut the phallus of your chauvinism, and then you will know who you are. And then, only then, you tell me that I'm not a woman. So that is phallus I cut. So there is this quest, thank you so much. There is this questioning about a transgender woman's feminineness, womanhood, and all that. Especially men usually question our womanhood as much as they question women's womanhood. Like when a woman is unable to bear a child or chooses not to have children, they're always labeled single women, women who do not want to bear a child and all that. Likewise, we are women, trans women are women who naturally cannot give birth to children because we do not possess an ovary, of course. And at many a times, many or even our body is questioned, our voice is questioned, our ability to carry a child or family, run a family is questioned. So there are hundreds of questions that chauvinism throws at us. So these are some of my answers through this poetry, which is in Tamil as well as which is translated in English. So thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you. And thank you, Shobhana, for inviting me to all the lovely poets. I'm very, very particularly happy because I get an opportunity to read this poetry to other women, other poets, other souls who understand, I believe would understand me very well. Thank you.
I think what you've brought to this evening today, Kalki, is something that we all needed to listen to. Thank you for the power in your words, and more power to you, girl. More power to you. Wish you many, many, many more standing ovations in different parts of the world, and more power to everything that you do.
Thank you, Shobhana. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
So we have a new writer with us, Shrija Oni, who is part of the startup company called Swellcast, and I had the opportunity to meet both Shrija and Ramya a few months ago at work. And so over to you, Shrija. Please have a short introduction about yourself and go on with your poem, please.
Thank you, Shobhana. I am Shrija, and I'm an impulsive writer and a closet poet. My bursts of inspiration come from circumstances that move me, and I'm compelled to seek expression for the rivers of emotion that flow in me. So since I write largely for myself and have no understanding of technique or style, forgive my amateurish attempts. Thank you, Shobhana, for encouraging me to share these poems on the CATS platform. The first is titled Her Dream. This is a poem about how gender can determine if dreams can take wings. Can I dream? She asked. Yes, they said. And she dreamt of traversing vivid blue skies, creating, building, and breathing life. Intuitions begin small. Of weaving a tapestry of stories and touching lives, the thrill of living, the joy of pursuit, and the victory of having tried. And then she woke up, for they said, every dream comes at a price. She started living life. The next poem flowed into my heart when, as a mother, I mourned the loss of the life of the 8-year-old girl in Kathua, Kashmir, whose death we somewhere all carry in our conscience. It's titled Eroded. And it happens again. Innocence lost in a whiff, a haze of hatred, lust, and rage overpowers her, violates her spirit, not just her body and mind. Someone's child, someone's daughter, a sister, a friend, a smiling girl who left behind a hole so deep in our hearts, shaming our collective conscience. The human race is in a mad frenzy to write its own doom. The end will come, not from the deep recesses of the ocean or the earth, but from within the minds of its own that rule, dictate, violate, and purge, hiding behind the lame excuses of border, religion, gender, and race, forgetting the purpose of existence, a disgrace to the Creator, wreaking havoc among all his creations. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrija. I hope this platform gives you the encouragement to write and write more. I'd like to invite Ranjani Rao next. Ranjani Rao regaled us with a delicious story from her Amma's kitchen yesterday. And she is a poet, a children's story writer, and her book, Lessons from My Mother's Kitchen, is a critically acclaimed account of her childhood and the memories of her mom's kitchen. So over to you, Ranjani. Thank you for joining us here today. Ranjani, are you here?
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. Can you see me? Is my audio also clear? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Shobhana. Thank you so much for having me here. And it is my absolute privilege to be a part of this long lineup of brilliant, brilliant poets. I'm not sure I identify as a conventional poet at all. I like to think of myself as a kitchen poet, like I often say. And today I'm going to be reading 3 small poems from my book, which you mentioned. It's called Lessons from My Mother's Kitchen. It's a memoir dedicated to my mother, whom I lost to cancer 4 years ago. So some of these might seem, a little not distressing, but they might seem a little sad, but the truth is way far from it. It's been absolutely therapeutic for me to write these poems. And these poems are actually at the back of the book, kitchen poetry for Amma. So the first poem is called Losing Amma. You consider the seasons, their depth and purpose. And this sweltering summer is a wide open doorway to quiet grieving. You peel everything off the tangible memories handwritten notes, knickknacks, clothes, photographs, voice recordings, until mother becomes a little red kitchen, a steaming hot dish, a morning raga, a frothy cup of coffee, the smell of freshly washed linen, a crunchy cotton hug, the embodiment of empathy, the velvet of your night's sleep, the lump in your throat, a fighting spirit in a tiny hospital room, the inky night sky torn by the stars and the moon, the entire universe contained in a smile, the loosening grip on your hand as she trailed off into the O of otherness. And what remains is the desire to tell her your heart is heavy with gratitude and your words with longing, all shrink wrapped and shiny. Every single day, she'll be more than what she left you. And the sharp shades of one of these summers will tear your heart rot down until you grow into the music and light of her. The next poem is called The Women I Am. The years have a funny way of making different women out of you. I am now my mother, for instance. In my calloused hands and cracked feet, I see snatches of her. My kitchen smells like hers, all asafoetida and cardamom, burnt milk and curdled ghee. My voice raises new questions, stuck somewhere between her hindola and my bourrée, calling out to my child, reminding my husband of tasks consigned to oblivion. In all these and more, in a kitchen napkin folded in rectangular precision, a ball of yarn rolled up in linty, a recipe scrawled in the spice tray, the slovenly bag that bears all the answers to life's exigent needs, the little rock upon which time has etched Ganesha's face, safely hidden from external forces in my silver trinket box. I see my sister, my mother, and her mother, perhaps, as I become them and life becomes me. And the last poem that I'm going to read. Sorry, I'm scrolling through pages and pages, reams of manuscript. Okay, so the last poem that I'm going to read is called The Evening's Wisdom. Overcast and dull, the evening closes in on us, making us porous, and we seek our own lights. The lamp post will soon come on with a flicker. In its pool of light, I'll see paper-winged flies, glistening like smeared honey, reminding me of Amma's marble-veined skin, throbbing with 74-year-old wisdom, when I held her hands before the last goodbye. In the distance, the amalthus tree that seems unperturbed, having shed its golden shower, like some ancient crypt keeper, covering its damp shadows. Inside the contours of my emmer wheat rotis sketch their own mats, puffing and heaving in a breath, the fire still inside them, unapologetic as the stars, carrying their little lights, undoing the dark. So that's it from me today. Thank you so much once again, Shobhana and Katz, for having me. It's been absolutely wonderful to share my poetry with this wonderful audience. And I look forward to catching up on the work of everybody who read today. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, Ranjani. I don't think we'll all look at chapati dough with the same eyes anymore. Thank you for bringing such beauty into the kitchen. Thank you. It was only now, as I was looking through the list, I realized that we have all women poets reading today except Pierce. So Pierce, thank you for joining us. He's going to be reading Meena Kandasamy, I think. Pierce, over to you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
You can. No? I'm going to read a poem called Frenzied Light by Meena Kandasamy. Meena Kandasamy is a poet who writes in English, but she is probably the first Dalit poet to write in English. We have a number of Dalit poets writing in Tamil, but she is the first of those who, so she is probably the voice of the Dalits writing in English. And she reminds me because she also writes novels, she writes essays, she's an activist, and she reminds me of so many different people. She reminds me of even Arundhati Roy, who wrote that novel because she's such a tremendous activist. And she reminds me of poets who have also written novels, Sylvia Plath and Belja. And then, of course, she reminds me of Maya Angelou, the great Black poet who was the voice of the Blacks and the voice of women. So let me read Frenzied Light by Meena Kandasamy. When you call me to light up your life, I could never refuse. But there are things I ask of you. Love, I can't be a candle, for I know it is an ancient lie. The candle is for the solemn and for those who yearn slow and settled tenderness, not for us. It is for those who can hear to leave a mass of their waste, the dregs of their glory. Oh, it is for the selfish who seek to burn through a medium. Love, I will promise you a substitute. I could be that piece of holy camphor, so safely locked away from my prying hands. And dearest, when I burn for you, that single time, nothing shall remain of me or of you, except that flash of memory. Our blending shall be so sublime, so intense, so total. Come, consume me, devast me, love, if you ever will, but of the force that I will forever remember. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Piers. Always such a delight to listen to your stentorian voice, whether it's a play or whether it's verse. You do it so well. Thank you. Thank you so much. Soumya is going to be our last reader, but before that, I got a message this evening from Sai Prasad requesting to read one poem. He's a student, the first year. Sai Prasad, over to you before we move on to Soumya and close for the night. Sai Prasad, are you here?
Am I audible?
Yes. Go on, please.
Okay. So my name is Sai Pranav and I'm a first year student and I'm feeling very nervous. This is my first time I'm speaking before such great legends. So I'm I'm overwhelmed to speak, to share one of my own writings, which is my latest writings I wrote in my English class during when I was bored in my English class. So I wrote this poem, The Immense Beauty. The poem title is The Immense Beauty. Once I was as brave as a shark, majestically making my way between the lusty green bark. But then I fell in love with a girl who was immensely beautiful, regardless of her tone dark. She stands with me against an army as a lone warrior. The sense of terror could be felt in the war field, yet the warfare should be practiced. He stood there, armed, ready to face them. She, a queen, always a queen, ready to show her support. The war began. I started to fight the army with all my courage. Each time the feel of anxiety and depression and fear of losing the war creeps inside me, the look of her glittering eyes, holding lot of tears, makes me fall for her all over again and makes me fight with more enthusiasm than before. Days passed. The army began to lose its hold. I started to defeat the army of my hopelessness, depression, and the feeling of being alone. I enjoy my own company accompanied by her. Words are like diamond, not beautiful, just rare enough to portray the immense beauty she holds. Lust, romance, and love crawls inside me each time I see her night now. She is the only one who has seen the original me, face my anger and frustration eye to eye, though there for me when I feel low. Oh, what a pity. The feel of love and lust towards her made me learn the life-saving lessons. She stimulates the vital hormones in me, which I don't know if I'm worth for it or not. The war between me and the army of my responsibilities is not yet over. But she, the night, ever gorgeous night, is the only one I could cherish forever. So this is the poem I wrote. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Sai Pranav. You know, words of Albus Dumbledore come to mind, where he says, to be young and love and in love again. Sai Pranav, that's all I think of you, think of when you recited that. I hope this gives you the courage to write more, read more, and present more. All the best to you, Sai Pranav.
Thank you.
Over to you, Samya. Samya read for us yesterday from a very, very moving tale about her mother seeing her father. And she has a beautiful poem for us today.
Thank you, Shobhana. Thank you all. It's a real pleasure and honor to be here. I've enjoyed the poetry thus far. So my poem for today is Dr. Puddleboat, the Dreamweaver. Every year, the legend of Dr. Puddleboat, the Dreamweaver, grew wilder and vaguer until there was no shape anymore, just stature. Some claimed to find their dreams. Some claimed to find themselves. Some claimed to have lost themselves. Some claimed nothing, but said they had everything. Why were they shining? When asked what Dr. Puddleboat, the Dreamweaver, was, it took on the scintillating garb of a shapeshifter. Some claimed it was a boat whose sides were beautifully painted with a mermaid whose dream was to be a butterfly whose dream was to be a jellyfish whose dream was to be a kelp whose dream was to be an ocean reef whose dream was to be a simple tree, and a tree who wished to be saved. Some claimed it was a flying marvel, a dragonfly whose wings shimmered in the beautiful lights of the evening ocean. The beautiful lights of the evening ocean that wished to trap its colors in its waves. The waves who wished to fly and rain upon the creatures yearning for joy below. And those yearning for joy below wished for more things, the things trying to show them that the yearning for joy meant less is more. Some claimed it was a log of wood, a painted lump of wood, probably for trees still trying to be useful. A human who used this lump wished to be useful too. But how was a human to be useful? By just being, of course. Just being. No one really knew when or where Dr. Puddleboat, the Dreamweaver, could be found. Some said you needed to be lost to find it. Some said you needed to seek to peek. Some said you never found it when you looked for it. And some said you don't find it, it finds you. Some said chasing shadows was the way. Some said shedding skins and airs was the way. And some said time the healer shows the way. Some said let it go and it comes your way. It was all very confusing, but the confused were clearer. Was it found in the dark? Those who had witnessed darkness in their souls said they had found the light. Maybe if we tried really, really hard. But those who tried really, really hard said they found that it was easy after the hard. Maybe one day, if we sat ourselves down by the river and dreamt of finding Dr. Puddleboat, we would find it. Or looking in on the ocean babes would bring it. Or sitting in the forest would bring it. Whenever it does graze you, though, I guarantee you that you will never forget nor be the same. You may be better if you keep Dr. Puddleboat's The Dreamweaver's lesson fresh, but you must remember to not be in Dr. Puddleboat the Dreamweaver's clutches for too long, for then we forget the Dreamweaver's magic. I hope you all get to find Dr. Puddleboat the Dreamweaver one day, and when you do, say thanks afterward, or you may never see the Dreamweaver again. Thank you.
What a delightful tale, Samya. Samya has been a blogger for the last 15 years, and she also writes children's stories. So beautiful, Samya. Thank you for that. Thank you all for being such a lovely audience. There were about 40 people at the start, and those of us who read at poetry festivals know, like, 10 is a crowd sometimes. And we have like more than almost 40 people to the end of the day, and it really shows that this is a lovely community that comes together to encourage everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And on that note, we close. And if you'll allow me, I'd like to read from my book, one poem. I have a book of haiku out. So I'm just going to read one poem, not take much of your time. That's okay with all of you. Is that okay? Yeah? All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. It's called Rorschach Test. Caffeine clouds the cream. Steam spirals. The hostess checks for sugar. Her elderly neighbor likes 2 heaped tablespoons. She pours him a cup, all the time wondering if her tremors will make him drop it. Fairy tale, a forest trail appears from nowhere. Fairy tale, a forest trail appears from nowhere. He hasn't eaten, he says. Even though he lives with his son, he hasn't eaten, he repeats. He tells her that she is like a daughter, hands her back her treasured china after a few grateful gulps. Suddenly, the cracks don't matter anymore. Stiletto sounds fading into the night. Crickets. Stiletto sounds fading into the night. Crickets. The odor lingers long after the cleaning. Patches have settled on the muted gold paper, wallpaper. After a few days, they meld into the walls. Cobwebs, remnants of yesterday, glint in the sun. Cobwebs, remnants of yesterday, glint in the sun. Thank you very much for your patient listening, everyone. It's been such delight to host this and bring all you wonderful poets and readers together. Thank you. And good night. And if you'd all like to unmute and say something, I've been very evil muting all of you. So if you want to unmute and say anything, please go ahead.
Thank you.